Alright, I'm back with another Destiny 2 video, getting off Elden Ring for, what has it been, 30 minutes-ish to play this week's story, and, well, I guess I don't have to play anymore after this. I won't do any spoilers up front here, but the act is over. This is week 3 of progression in Act 1, and you are informed at the end of the mission today that Act 1 is over, and we will hear more from Failsafe about what's going on in Act 2. I'll talk about what actually happened in a minute, but, not to bury the lead here, the act structure and the episode structure has been kind of questionable from the start. And now that we realize how exactly this is going to play out, and when there will be content, when there won't be content, boy, I don't love it. Seasons had their own issues where they kind of front load the story, and then things would, get a little empty, and then we'd have a holiday event and maybe an exotic quest or something. But, everyone's like, oh, this format is so dull. They're like, okay, we're doing episodes. They're bigger and longer, and, there's going to be more stuff. But what there is more of so far is time gating. If this is the way this is going to work, that means we have 3 weeks of story content. And keep in mind, 2 of these weeks were essentially just running the seasonal story mission. I also think there was some sort of bug where I didn't get the specimen quest this week at all, even though it's in the weekly challenges. And then maybe some sort of more significant story mission. This was a legitimate story mission that we got today, and not a cutscene, but some, in-engine conversations and whatever. And then it's a break for 3 weeks. I had to check the battle pass. I'm like, oh, wait, so does Act 2 start next week? I'm like, no, that's too soon. It is too soon. It's not for 3 more weeks. That is when Act 2 starts. So if that's the way things are going to be, then if we have another 3 weeks of story content, then another 3 weeks off, and then Act 3 is 3 weeks of story content and 3 weeks off. If we're sticking to the schedule, that's 9 total weeks of story content, which is more than a season had. Seasons were maybe 7, 8. I think you'd say they're usually 8, but this is a longer thing because there's only 3 of these now per year as opposed to 4. So 1 extra week of story stuff with these weird 3-week breaks in the middle is strange. But it's obviously it's not even just the story that pauses. We're waiting for all this other stuff. They're rolling out more weapons with each of these acts. So yay, I've farmed the patterns for the current weapons, but I could be farming more weapons, and they're just not there. They're gonna put in 2, 3 more weapons an act, or 1 or 2. I don't know, but it's yet something else that's time gated. You can't really even keep going through the season pass in a meaningful way. I just hit 100 as of this week, and max out the traditional 100 ranks, but this obviously goes to 200 now. But you can't just keep grinding it out, okay, fine, we can't play all the act story content, we can't get all the weapons, but you can't even progress the battle pass in a meaningful way. You can get more ranks, but I think it increases from 100,000 a rank to 500,000 a rank. I'm pretty sure that's what it says. And regardless, however many numbers you increase it, you can't claim the rewards right now. So it's I think it's at 150 or something, but I don't have anything else to do. I'm going to grind until I get the Red Death Catalyst or something. Can't do it. You can't do that. You're going to be time gated until the next act starts. And I don't think you want to grind this ahead of time, even if it does unlock all the ranks once you switch over, if the XP gain was really nerfed, which is what it sure sounds like. This sucks. I don't like this. I also agree that seasons needed to switch up, but nothing about this feels like a switch up to me other than a different sort of timeline that just is more frustrating, because it was always sort of a weird period when the last month and a half of a season would be okay, there's nothing really to do except maybe an event or something or whatever, and finishing up grinds. But it feels worse to me to have constant 3-week breaks in the middle of things. Maybe some people will like this format better because then maybe there's less dead time at the very end here, but it seems very strange to me. And the idea that you could play the whole act up front, well, that wouldn't be very good because people would have been done within the first hour and a half of the season starting, and then they'd have to wait 6 weeks instead of 3 weeks. But I guess no one really understood that the story was just going to stop like after 3 weeks. I don't think that was ever communicated, or there was an idea that they would just be essentially 3 weeks off. Maybe there's more stuff that's going to happen that isn't necessarily progressing the failsafe story, but is something that's introduced that's interesting. I guess we can't rule that out. There is supposed to be an exotic quest later this season sometime, and obviously we will have whatever holiday event is next. I forget what it is at this point. What month is it? June? Is it solstice? I think. But it's just a very strange way to set this up, and I don't think this is really reassuring people that the switch to the episodic model is like improving seasons. I'm not even sure it's better than seasons. It might be worse. And one thing I did wonder is, or pretty much thought would happen, is that 3 episodes a year as opposed to 4 seasons, like obviously it's one number less, but the idea was, well, if it's bigger episodes or whatever, then we're going to overall get more content. That is not what this is suggesting to me, and it does feel like a way to kind of scale back on live content to some extent, even if it's being divided up in a different way and there's an extra cutscene here or an extra mission there. I'm not even sure what's going on with like dungeons anymore. Have they talked about this? Like, are there still dungeons? Like, I'm not quite. Or are they still reprising raids in these episodes later? I guess I don't. Maybe they've addressed it. I feel like they haven't, but I could be wrong. Okay, so that's episodes and acts being kind of bad, and this being an abrupt ending to the first act. The mission was pretty good. It was an actual story mission, so I'll give it that. The collecting 5 samples from 5 random places on Nessus, which is like the ultimate busy work task. Did we have to do Nessus bounties last week or something? Like that was not ideal. Patrol quests. So we're kind of back to like the really, really old days of busy work. After that, though, there was a interesting seasonal quest, and we got to see that Saint is being mind controlled / messed with by someone called the Conductor. This is very obviously the person who is seen on the seasonal arts that everyone believes is probably Maya Sundaresh, based on the lore we know and what kind of bad person is intimately involved with the Vex, who looks like a human, to a certain extent, where we've seen this before, and this happened before with Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is a copy of part of Maya Sundaresh's mind. So here we go again. I like the idea of Saint being sort of corrupted by the Vex himself. He had the little like spike holograph collar thing indicating like direct control from this entity. I like the idea of a literal entity from the Vex who's like a villain that we can communicate with. It's not just necessarily the overall Vex hive mind, which is sort of the eternal villain and very boring. But we didn't see them. We just learned the name, the Conductor. I just kept thinking of like a train conductor because my son loves trains. So not the most intimidating name there. And then Saint's told he's like a copy of the original. He's not the real Saint. And it's like, buddy, like, you're a freaking robot resurrected from some real dude's consciousness, and you've lost your memory 14 times because you're a freaking exo. Like, you have all your memories with you and Osiris. Like, what? Come on, man. Like, I feel like we've dealt with worse situations than this. So, like, I don't really buy this as a compelling conflict. Like, if they're doing this, like, he's some other saint from the Vex multiverse. Like, I hate multiverse storylines to begin with, so... Like, who cares if this is Saint from an adjacent universe if he, like, has all the Osiris memories and is the exact same dude as before? Like, it doesn't matter. That's not a real conflict. So, I don't know. The structure of the mission was fine, but the episode thing is problematic for me, and I was not expecting the act to end today. That was really surprising. I'm curious what everyone else's thoughts about this, so let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Take care.